I first start by almost talking them off the ledge to go, why do you want to get involved? And the amount of times we're going, it's the cool thing, it's what kids are doing. And you have to understand, like going, how will you know when you've hit that KPI of your brand is cool now? Like, what are we tracking? And I think that's half the problem when a lot of gaming and esports experts come into the room, they see the dollar signs of brands wanting to get involved, and they feed them what they think the brands want instead of what's good for the brand's growth. Gamers, as cynical as they are, they respect the role that brands play in this ecosystem. And so if I had to say the one or two things that brands have to do, they have to be authentic. So if you're a pizza brand, you need to act like a pizza brand. If you're a car insurance brand, you need to act like a car insurance brand. You can't suddenly be a gamer's best friend and giving them tips and tricks on how to beat a difficult level. You need to understand that your role is that of a pizza brand or car insurance. And the second is to add value. I think because a lot of clients don't understand gaming, they believe that the requirements to be an expert in gaming marketing is to play games. And to that I go, well, you're not wrong, but I've watched a lot of movies in my life, but I would never pretend to produce or direct or even write a movie. And I mean, the easy fit, you asked, is it for all brands? No, it's not for all brands, but it's for more brands than I think many of them believe. Because, I mean, the easy shoot from the hip answer, does your brand already speak to or want to speak to 18 to 35-year-old majority male audience, highly upwardly mobile, LSM 8 and above? If that's your brand, there's a no-brainer. That pie is bigger than people think. And I think that's about opening up people's mindset to going, we're not talking about 14-year-old boys who don't earn their own money. We're talking about 71% adult. Gaming's been sold as this very niche, high-tech thing, and it is at the top end. Gaming, the guys who are owning 60,000 Rand PCs and are streaming and playing competitive esports, we are talking cream of the crop, very small population and spending a lot of money. But we're also talking about 6 or so million people who play casually Candy Crush or whatever on their phone.
That's been the biggest challenge, is ensuring and convincing people and brand managers and clients that gaming is not children, that there's actually something for everyone, that the core audience in our ecosystem actually sits sort of 18 to 45, 50 years old, because consumers are looking for little bite-sized chunks of entertainment to escape from the daily routine. So they dip in and dip out, and there's just this vast ecosystem of great content for consumers to engage in. I've presented enough in the last 5 years where I've walked into boardrooms and said, put your hand up if you consider yourself a gamer. 99% of people in that boardroom will not put their hands up, and yet when you unpack, is someone playing Words with Friends? Is someone playing Candy Crush? And we can go through the boardroom, suddenly you see hands starting to pop up. And it's the wrong phrase, the wrong word, gaming. We tend to think of it as mobile entertainment. And if you could move away from gaming and understand that there is something for everyone, then straight away people can realize, hang on, I am actually involved in mobile entertainment or gaming. Just choose your channel, choose your product that is going to work for you. And I think that's what we've been passionate about, because we've got all the scale. I mean, our numbers are through the roof, Monique. We've seen a 25% increase since COVID of new consumers coming into our ecosystem. So let's listen to them. Let's find an ad unit that's going to work. For me, hyper casual is a big opportunity to tap in. Obviously, the sports games at the moment seem to be trending, which is quite exciting. And then, as we become older consumers, a lot of quiz stuff, a lot of, games where an older consumer can really, move away and play the games that they used to, the likes of Solitaire, the likes of Words with Friends. Those are all big games at the moment. I think, we need to all take responsibility for this. I think we need to start being a lot more transparent with clients, and really not hiding behind the fact that we're in gaming. I love gaming. Our consumers are in gaming. We see the numbers. But from a brand perspective, I think we just need to be cognizant of some of the dangers in this landscape. We do need to start asking more difficult questions of the publishers and of the media owners. But for me, key tip would be transparency.
What I normally do is I try and show them what that category looks like, what the opportunities are, show them how the numbers have scaled, where the sort of big numbers are from the consumers, and I try and land a brand into that whole ecosystem naturally where it fits. I think there's a lot of natural brands that fit into that space, and I think other brands can fit in. You've just got to craft where your lane is going to be. So choose your titles wisely, choose mobile versus console versus PC, depending on what it is in fact that you do. And if you sell cars or if you own pizza, own that space, make sure you are always true to what you're doing and try and marry that into their experiences in a native way. So don't take your time. Don't, for example, become an expert on day one. Some brands go from not being in the gaming space. Head office says we've got to get into it. Next thing, they're uploading FIFA trips and tricks and they're becoming experts in gaming. Sort of, you've got to take your time, build some credentials in the space, and then slowly but surely immerse yourself into that gaming experience. And that's when the people follow. That's sort of the best way to do it. But more recently, some of the campaigns we're running sort of in mobile gaming and even in the console side, brands that are subtly using certain terminology based on even the title that they're running in. So if you're going to run in a soccer title and you're using certain soccer related language for your creative, we've seen that performs better than just running your generic TV spot. We always say, if you're going to get into the space, commit long term as part of your strategy. Make gaming a pillar in your sort of comm strat for the year and make an intentional play into that space. It all depends what they want to do. So you can use general media KPIs depending on what you're doing. So, if you're running a video campaign and you're looking to drive reach or views of the video, you can set that as the KPI. You're just reaching a gaming audience. It could be as if you were reaching parents or males that like sport, whatever it may be. So it's the same fundamentals that you're using to reach these objectives. Find out who the audience is. So ask questions and try and get educated on the category as quickly as you can. And ask many people, not just one. So try and tap into several sort of experts, be it your creative agency, your media agency, a couple of media owners, research bodies, trying to get broader context of that. Go slowly. So figure it out on what you need to do to prove success long term and find your lane in that sort of space, and don't ignore it, because the numbers are only going to grow. When I first started trading in gaming 6 years ago, we only had 1 million gamers. We've now got 10. So that trajectory is exciting for any brand that wants to reach scalable, economically viable people in the country. So I would suggest those things there.
So I think for me, it's important that they understand before they jump in. If they say, okay, I want to get involved in gaming, is understanding it a little bit better. So for example, I think especially in South Africa, we see this problem where gaming and esports is seen as the same thing. And it's definitely not. Gaming is the big thing at the top that we all do. Even you with your Trivial Pursuit, you're a gamer. So we're all gamers. And within gaming, there's all these niches. The most important bit of research a brand should do before they enter the space is determine what game it is that they want to focus on, whether it's one game or multiple games, and go directly to the distributors or the publishers of those games and get the actual numbers. Because the distributors and publishers, while they might not necessarily say, okay, we've sold X amount, they'll be able to say, actually, that game doesn't do very well in South Africa, or this game has far more of a player base. They've got that access. No one does that. People kind of go, this is the game we're going to do, and then they can't understand why they're not getting the signups that they want or the players involved. And I think it's such an important question. It's the one thing I wish more brands would do, is say, if this is the game I want, how many people are actually playing it? You need to understand why you're getting in first, as opposed to, I think what sometimes happens is people go, okay, gaming is this big thing, I must be involved in gaming, and that's it. That doesn't work. You have to really understand exactly what it is you want to, who you want to either speak to or what you want to get out of it before you jump in. But I think when a brand's getting in, again, it's not a situation of, if I just come in with the most money and I throw the most money there, then I've bought that space and that's me. That's kind of not how it works. You do really have to understand it a little bit more, understand what the fan is looking for, what the gamers are looking for, and and I really think this is really important, and we throw this word around all the time, but be authentic in your approach. Everyone knows you're coming to sell something, but be authentic and make sure that you've done your research so you know who you're speaking to. And then most importantly, I see this a lot when you talk about brands who miss the mark. It's because they come in and go, this is how we've always done it. So we're going to come in here and we're going to do it this way. That never works. So I think brands need to be really careful when they choose people to partner with, understanding that there needs to be a little bit of hand-holding in this process, because these are not people that you can just throw cash at and hope for the best. They're going to need a little bit of guidance, support, and help, which is good as well, because that'll allow brands as well to put back into the industry, not just in a financial way, but hopefully in an educational way as well.
My recommendation for any brand is really get to know your audience first and foremost. I think that's the first step. The one thing that I've found to be a differentiator between the sort of gaming audience, as it were, globally, with other audiences and audience segments that are of the same sort of age, is that they're very much... They're about community, and I'm speaking from on behalf of myself, not on behalf of Twitch, obviously, but having been in the position that I am in at Twitch, a sense of community that I've noticed amongst the gamers that exist on Twitch and on other platforms is just unlike anything else I've ever seen. So there is a deep sense of community amongst the gaming community. Relationship angle is definitely a good approach to take. The audience segment and ecosystem and community of gamers that exist is super broad and it's super diverse. I would say take the time to get to know the personalities behind the gamers themselves. And I'm talking about gamers who stream professionally for a living, really, at the end of the day, are the folks that I'm speaking about at the moment. But within that ecosystem, there are so many different kinds of personas and personalities. If you spend the time and you're thoughtful about your strategic approach, you'll find the personas that resonate with you. And I know, there's a stark contrast between typical influencer marketing that would maybe exist across a bunch of channels out there, like the Instagrams of the world, or you name it. But with working with a platform like Twitch, where most of the gamers are, they operate differently. They're not gonna. You're going to see them as their true selves when they're on stream. You're not going to see them as sort of their ideal selves, or showing up as somebody that they're not. And I think that that's the huge difference between somebody like a Twitch influencer or gaming influencer versus like an Instagram influencer. Considering non-traditional media approaches, I think as a brand, the audience that come to watch streamers on Twitch, for example, are expecting something different. They're not expecting, they're basically they're gonna put blinkers on to any kind of like display ads that you throw at them or any traditional media. So finding smart ways to engage, usually through strategies and tactics that bring the influencer or the streamer or the gamer along for the ride and really get them to embody the spirit of the campaign. And that's, that requires a lot of nuance in the way that you manage that relationship and the vision that you have, and finding those moments of resonance. But that's the stuff that's going to move the needle, and that's the stuff that's really going to resonate with that audience for sure. They're also into just like innovation in general. It's a very creative audience, both on the viewer side and on the actual gamer side. So the bar is high in terms of what they expect out of creative and innovative based approaches to the campaigning. They're really looking for something different that they can resonate with. So, gamers in general they're puzzle solvers. They like a little bit of friction to the things that they have to go and do. They don't like things presented on a platter for them. So I think understanding that sort of psychographic makeup as well is super important. To get a sense of the scale of the kind of industry and space and opportunities that we're playing in right now, to really just set the context correctly. Speaking from my experience, just in Q2, we had 5 billion hours watched on our platform of gaming. And that's just like, that boggles the mind, So it's far from being something that is, it's absolutely mainstream. And I think it's moving to Gen Pop like real soon.